What's going on, guys? Millian here with you, Millian for Millian Speaks. I am America's vocal longevity coach, your vocal care and maintenance emporium. If I look all puffy and red like I've been crying for the last 6.5 hours, well, it's because I have been.
Wow. What a wuss, huh?
Thank you, Vloxette. You're fired, by the way. In previous videos, I mentioned to you, if you watched any of them, judging by the analytics, you haven't. But if you watched the previous videos, I mentioned that recently my father passed away on September 30th. And the funny part is, I'm not sad, believe it or not. But for whatever reason, I guess as part of the grieving process, the emotional poison keeps coming out of me at the weirdest times. So I'm up today at about 4:30, do my thing. By like 5:30, I'm at the gym working out. Now, I lift very heavy, and I'm a very big guy. I'm a very strong guy. Aesthetically, I look like a melted candle, unfortunately. Still can't figure that one out. I'm like the strongest person I know that has like nothing to show for it. It's really weird. I'm working out. I'm doing the overhead press, as it were, and I was listening to some music, and for whatever reason, something got a hold of me. And you should have seen me on this because I'm lifting the weight. I'm like screaming. I'm turning red. I'm angry. I'm yelling and stuff. Putting the weight up there. Rack the weight. Walk away. Just walking away crying. Whoever was watching me in the gym had to think I was completely nuts, right? So I was doing that, walking away. And a couple minutes later, you calm down. We get back. And we're lifting the weights. Rack it. Crying. Doing the thing. I'm like, all right. This is how it's going to be, isn't it? On the way home, as I was driving back to my house, I was listening to a couple songs in the same vein. Same problem. I basically cried the whole way home. I've been literally crying all day, and I don't quite know why. Well, I kind of do know why. I guess it's part of the grieving process. I'm still figuring this whole thing out. But what I wanted to mention to you was that a couple weeks ago, I had to do the eulogy for my dad. And we had instead of a funeral, we had like a family brunch kind of thing. And the whole family came in from different states and friends and all that kind of good stuff. And I had to basically host and MC and run the whole thing. I know, great MC job, right? So I had to do this, had to introduce my much, much older brother who, when he got up there, he was insisting he was going to be strong. And he got up there, said like 4 words and just broke down. Couldn't do it.
What a wuss, huh?
So I knew I had to get up there. I had a very nice speech planned. And, I give a speech. I rock that. And I had to keep it together. I had to keep the emotions in check and had to, make sure I delivered this right. Because at the end of the day, I know a lot of you speakers out there, you have emotional stories, you have backstories, you have some traumatic things that inspired you to share what you share, and that's cool. That's great. But at the end of the day, you are still a professional, and to be a professional, you have to do professional things. And there's going to be times where maybe as part of your speech, that emotion, that showing of emotion, that letting that come out on stage, that's part of your demonstration, which is great. But there's going to be times where you need to speak and maybe emotion gets the hold of you and you have to pull it together and get through that and get the emotions under control. My much older brother couldn't figure that one out. So what I want to show you today is how you can do some emotional regulation when you have to give a speech and when it sort of comes on suddenly and you just got to keep it together. The coaching that I do involves physiology and biology. Also, something like parasympathetic nervous system engagement to trigger things in the body that we want, such as calm or pulling anxiety down or getting worry out of your life. Or in our case today, when you're giving a speech and you start being overcome with emotion, how you pull yourself back together. Now, I teach breath mechanics. Now, the human body only has a finite number of ways that it can move and do things. So when I teach a breath movement, you may have seen it in other disciplines or practices and all that. These are things called transnational movements. And so it does not involve anything else or preclude anything else. It's just what I teach. It's a physiology and it's a mechanics. Now, I'm not the kind of guy that gets real like woo-woo into that kind of stuff. I don't, teach you that kind of thing. You know who I'm talking about.
Well, Millian, we have to manifest our truth to the universe.
What the actual
So when the time comes and you have to give this speech, what I want to show you is a combination not only of breath mechanics, but also a voice training exercise that we do. And we're going to do them in combination, and I'm going to give you kind of the steps to follow, and I want you to try it out, and then you can let me know if this does something for you, okay? Let's rock.
Buford, you listening? Now get this. That's when the subcommittee had to reallocate the...
So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a neutral spine postural alignment. Nice long spine. A lot of times when people speak, they're going to do this hunching thing, or they're pointing, or they're being animated and all that, which is fine, okay? But like in acting, back to one. Whenever you're done that particular part of your presentation, just pull it back. Neutral spine, number one. Secondly, nice low diaphragmatic breath. If you're not fully sure how to do that, or if you're doing it right, set up a session with me. I'll show you everything you need to know. Okay, nice low diaphragmatic breath. Now we're going to go through the mouth this time. A lot of times you're going to hear people say go through the nose. Now it's not necessarily wrong. Breathing through the nose triggers receptors for nitrous oxide in the body, and what that'll do, that is a vasodilator, which means it will dilate the veins and vessels throughout your body, which means things like blood pressure reduce, calmness ensues, so on and so forth. I have you load the air through the mouth because it's faster and you can get more volume in. Later on in my training, I get you into what's called the 80-20 breath, where it's 80% mouth, 20% nose. I'll show you how to do it. Set up a session with me. And when you breathe that way, it does a couple different things for you, which I'll explain when you come talk to me. So we're going to load up the lungs as much as we can diaphragmatically. And then there's going to be a little bit of pressure as the air is going to try to force itself out, because that's your body's natural mechanism. We want to wait till that pressure builds up for maybe like a 5-second run. Okay, 4 or 5 seconds. You're not holding your breath a really long time, but try to hang in there if you can. So we load the air, we wait for the pressure. What we're going to do is called the snake hiss, and it's basically the letter S, and it's going to sound like this. So posture, your low breath, load it up right into the S. We're going to do that for about, we want 10 to 15 seconds ideally. I'll explain why in a second. So posture, low breath, letter S, snake hiss. Once you have that down, we can start making adjustments. When you're on stage or in front of a crowd or speaking, or there's people looking at you for your presentation that you're giving, you might ask, Millian, why I can't be hissing like a snake because there's a microphone here, or, I don't like the headset mics for this reason because it kind of takes away some of your freedom. Lav mics I don't like. I mentioned before, I like the handhelds, but you can make it work. What you're going to do is, after that pressure builds up and you're going to start the S of the snake hiss, there is a way where you can back down the volume of that. You could still do the motion, but you back it down to the point where it's almost silent. When that happens, pressure from the inside is going to try to push the air out. You're almost holding the air back by controlling that S. It's going to make almost like an equilibrium of pressure on both sides as the lungs deflate and the body starts to calm down. It'll sound like this. So posture, low breath. I don't even know if you can hear it, but I'm doing the same motion and I'm making it super quiet. How this factors into what you do is, let's say you're on the stage. Let's say you're giving a speech and there's hundreds of eyeballs staring at you. You start to speak about whatever topic is next on your agenda, and there happens to be a part where you speak about something that makes you emotional. Any sort of public speaking class or public speaking coaching is going to tell you about the use of silence. People have filler words, like the ums, the ers, so on and so forth. Pauses will do a whole lot more for you, because what happens is, psychologically, it draws people in. Okay, basic public speaking technique. When you start to feel that emotion coming over you, your immediate thing is you want to pause. Throw your pause in there. Immediately back into your postural position, load that 80-20 breath, nice low diaphragmatically, and very silently do the snake hiss. What's going to happen is it gives you that 5 to 10 second window where you get yourself under control, get yourself composed. The audience listening knows you're having an emotional moment, and that pause is going to hit them even harder than if you try to sort of stumble your way through it. If you can throughout your speech, or even if maybe before the speech starts, if you're getting to that point where you're just feeling emotional about just getting out there and performing, try this for about 3 rounds and let me know what happens, okay? But if you have to do it live in real time when you're actually speaking, this sort of physiological engagement is a way to trigger that calming quality. You're creating a pressure equilibrium on both sides, and you're doing it very silently and controlled. There's nothing wrong with noise so long as it's controlled. There's nothing wrong with power so long as it's controlled. Everything that we do in my training is all about keeping things properly controlled in the sweet spot. That's all we're trying to do, and we're trying to trigger physiological things by doing that. Now, if you have anxiety, if you have stress, worry, trauma, you've been through stuff, maybe you're going through stuff. I'm dealing with a lot of this right now. I actually have a chronic neck condition which impinges on nerves, which actually causes like anxiety, panic attack symptoms that hurt me physically, but not mentally. So like, I know what's going on. So I understand this. I've been through all these things. And this is why I train what I train. I know what happens. I know how the whole physiology works behind it. And so I try to train you on a way to get that under control. Remember, stage fright, for instance, is not bad. Problem is, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're going out there and it's 10 and you're like balled up on the floor crying, that's no good. If your stage fright and anxiety go down to 0, you're going to be like passed out on the floor. You're going to be asleep. We don't want that. We want a sweet spot of about a 4 out of 10, 4 to 5, maybe 6 or 7. No, 4 out of 5 is what I'm saying. Once you get that under control there, when you feel yourself being elevated, then you can engage one of these breathing and vocal techniques that I use. I use a combination: breathing, breath mechanics, and vocal exercise to bring about what we want. So I want you to try that again one more time. Posture, low breath, and you're going to snake hiss out. Number 2. Last time. Full breath control in the sweet spot. Try this out. Leave a comment. Let me know what you felt when you've done 3 of those. And this is one of those techniques. Once you get part A, what we just did, the 3 rounds there, once we get that locked in, then practice this in your speeches. If you have a part where you start breaking up or you start maybe it gets away from you, remember, stop, postural position, low breath, snake hiss. Go into it, quiet, do the quiet snake hiss. And you'll notice that you start getting control in one sense. Secondly, what I didn't bring up before is, if you focus on getting that S silently where it's coming out but not, going through the microphone, it gives you a focal point. That way you sort of get your mind off of those emotions building up. You sort of break that loop. Once you break that loop and you get the air out of you, you can then reload, 80-20 breath, and then go into the continuation of what you were about to say. So this is a technique I would like you to try and see if it helps you get through those moments. And you can let me know at any time by visiting millianspeaks.com. If you want some training, come train with me. If you got something going on, seriously, and I've put this out on social media, like nobody responded, but I'll put it out again. If you're going through something right now, you're struggling, anxiety, worry, trauma, you have a bad situation in life, set up a session and come talk to me. I'll do a free one with you, free 15 minutes. Just come vent and tell me what's going on. I'll show you a couple things like we're doing here, and we'll send you on your way. All kept in private, all discreet, no sharing with anybody. Just come talk to me because I'm going through it too, and misery loves company, right? We'll do it together. All right, guys, check it out, millianspeaks.com. Let me know, and I'll see you soon. All right, Millian out.